Okay. Let's look. Wokeness is here to stay. Slavoj Zizek. Oh, so this is like an article. Were there allegations that this was like ghost written? This article is pretty bad. Okay, I mean we can look at it. It is, but people say it doesn't read like him. Well, let's take a look. Let's see. Wokeness is here to stay. Some claim that wokeness is on the wane. In fact, it is gradually being normalized, conformed to even by those who inwardly doubt it, and practiced by the majority of academic, corporate, and state institutions. This is why it deserves more than ever our criticism, together with its opposite, the obscenity of the new populism and religious fundamentalism. Let's begin with Scotland, where Nicola Sturgeon's government pushed wokeism and woke. Oh God, my sensors are going off with the word wokeism. Where Nicola Sturgeon's government pushed wokeism and LGBT causes almost to the end. In December 2022, it hailed a historic day for equality after Scottish lawmakers approved plans to make it easier for individuals to legally change their gender, extending the new system to self-identification to 16 and 17-year-olds. Based, by the way, basically you declare what you feel you are and you are registered as what you want to be. What is the issue here? Who woking theism? Does not sound like him and needs more sniff noises. I'm not gonna try to do the impression. All right, let's keep going. A predictable problem emerged when Isla Bryson, a biological male convicted of rape, was remanded to a women's prison in Stirling. Oh God, why do we have to keep doing this? Bryson decided that he was no longer a man, only after appearing in a court on a rape charge. So we have a person who identifies itself. What? Tactical it. Oh God. As a woman using its penis to rape two. God damn it. I'm so tired. Quite logical if maleness and femaleness have nothing to do with one's body and everything to do with one's subjective self-definite. Why is Slavoj Zizek like doing like turf shit? One must put a penis-having rapist in prison with captive women. After protest, Bryson was put into a male prison. Again, this is problematic under Scottish law since we now have a self-identified woman in male prison. Does it get worse from here, guys? Sturgeon resigned because she alienated a part of the population that isn't anti-LGBT but simply rejects such measures. The point here is that there is no easy solution because sexual identity in itself not a simple form of identity but a complex dimension full of inconsistencies and unconscious features, something that in no way can be established by a direct reference to how we feel. Someone needs to watch Xena and Poppy's video. Definitely doesn't get better. Okay. The recent controversy about the use of so-called puberty blockers concerns another aspect of this same complexity. The Tavistock Clinic in London was ordered by higher authorities to restrict the use of puberty blockers that suppress hormones and in this way pause a child's development of sex-based characteristics such as breasts. Tavistock was administering these drugs to youngsters between 9 and 16 who appeared not to be able to choose their sexual identity. What? Tavistock's clinicians reason that there is a danger that youngsters who can't determine their sexual identity would make an enforced choice under the pressure of their environment, thus repressing their true inclination to be trans, mostly. Puberty blockers were necessary to allow such youth to postpone their entry into puberty, granting them more time during which to reflect on their sexual identity before deciding on it at a more mature age. Puberty blockers were administered to almost all children sent for assessment at Tavistock, including to autistic and troubled youngsters who may have been misdiagnosed as uncertain about their sexuality. In other words, life-altering treatments were being given to vulnerable children before they were old enough to know whether they wanted to medically transition. As one of the critics said, a child expressing gender distress needs time and support, not to be set on a medical pathway they may later regret. Okay, so first of all, puberty blockers are safe and effective. They're like generally reversible. Oh God. Oh, I don't know that I have time to go into all of this. Jesus fucking Christ. Okay. Life altered. There are so many layers to why this is like bad. Fear of puberty blockers is dumb. Yeah, it fucking is. Like this shit is like, for one, most of this is like reversible, right? Like, and most kids aren't being put on puberty blockers for like 1,000 years or something. Like they're literally like being put on for long enough to decide if they want to transition. Like, yeah, puberty is also life altering. What are we like? Like again, oh wait, hold on. I need to like look this up real quick because did someone send this to me? I just saw like a thing about the regret rate among trans people. Wasn't it like fucking like less than like it was like 0.3% or something like that? Like I think someone sent me this. I need to look at it. A fraction of one. Yeah, it's like a fraction of 1%. Less than hip replacements, less than knee surgery. Yeah, like the isn't like the regret rate for like hip replacements and knee surgeries like close to like 30% or something like that? Like it's absurdly high. Cis kids get puberty blockers if we start too early. Yeah, true. That's the other thing is like we literally put cis kids on puberty block. Like, oh my God. I know there was like a new like a new one, a new article. This might have actually been it. Oh yeah, this was a study. Journal of the American Society of Plastic Surgeons. Regret after gender affirming surgery, a multidisciplinary approach to multifaceted patient experience. That is the name of this. Results. Total of 1,989 individuals underwent gender affirming surgeries. 6 patients, 0.3%, were encountered that either requested reversal surgery or transitioned back to their sex assigned at birth. When whoever wrote this article, I mean, if Zizek actually did like get it ghostwritten, I don't know if that's like true, but whoever wrote this article, when they say that like, oh, something they may later regret, 6 out of almost 2,000, like the regret rate is almost non-existent. Oh, and puberty can start as early as age 8 or 9. I literally went through puberty at 9. That's not considered normal. Yeah, not considered abnormal. Yeah, like puberty like is weird, and puberty blockers are fine. All right, we're in it now. Let's do it. Paradox is clear. No, it's not. Puberty blockers were given to allow youngsters to pause maturity and freely decide about their sexual identity, but these drugs may also cause numerous other physical and psychic pathologies, and nobody asked the youngsters if they were ready to receive such drugs with such consequences. Wait, I'm confused. Are they able to like make these decisions or not? Because we were just saying that they weren't capable of making the decision to take them to begin with. So why are we what? Dr. Hilary Cass, one of the critics, wrote, okay, we're gonna find out who this person is because 90% shot this person's turf. Oh God, there's so much red on my screen right now. A British medical doctor and a consultant in the pediatric disability at St. Thomas Hospital, London. Okay, so she's British and she is a doctor. I'm going to guess she's a turf, especially given the fact that there's a lot of red on my screen. I could be wrong though. Yeah, I'm not seeing a lot. I'm seeing a lot of like just random articles, but nothing like definitive. Oh no, British. All right. Does it still say edited by at the end? I guess we will find out. We have no way of knowing whether, rather than buying time to make a decision, puberty blockers may disrupt that decision-making process. Brain maturation may be temporarily or permanently disrupted. Wait, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I haven't done a like shit ton of research into that, but that is not something that I have ever seen. That like puberty blockers affect brain maturation. I have never fucking heard that before. That sounds like just like speculation to like justify your already existing belief. They do? Okay. They can pause it, but it's reversible. Okay, I will take your word on that. Wash had graphs. I'm sure he probably did. I'm sure. Okay, I will take your word on that if it does. But like, there's one study with a small sample size that alleges this. Okay. We're just going to take the median position here then. Like, puberty blockers have already been shown to be safe, effective, and reversible. So like, even if this is the case, it's something that wouldn't be a long-term problem. Saige's screen was so red and British it was trying to colonize India. True. One should take a step even further in this criticism and question the very basic claim that arriving at sexual identity is a matter of mature free choice. There is nothing abnormal in sexual confusion. What we call sexual maturation is a long, complex, and mostly unconscious process, full of violent tensions and reversals, not a process of discovering what one really is in the depth of one's psyche. I don't know that I agree with that entirely. There is like a fluidity to figuring out like your identity as far as like your like orientation, your identity and stuff, and it can like fluctuate and change over time, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's like not a process of discovering like what you really are. Like it just means that like information over time changes how you like how you feel about certain things. Like it's not. Yeah, no, that I don't know. At many gender clinics across the West, doctors feel compelled to adopt an unquestioning affirmative approach. Critic noted, with little regard to other underlying mental health crises troubling children. Pressure is in fact twofold. For one thing, clinicians are led by the trans lobby, the powerful evil trans lobby that has all of the institutional power and affects discourse. As has been said on this site, emergent self schema. True. which interprets skepticism regarding puberty blockers as a conservative attempt to make it more difficult for trans individuals to actualize their sexual identity, because that's what it is. This is compounded by a financial compulsion. More than half of Tavistock's income, for example, came from the treatment of youngsters' sexual troubles. In short, what we have here is the worst combination of politically correct badgering with the brutal calculation of financial interests. The use of puberty blockers is yet another case of woke capitalism. Oh my god. Oh, so we were the ones pushing laws to make it illegal in every state? True, yeah, like it no, it was totally not Republicans that were pushing these laws. Yeah, head desk, Jesus Christ. Has anyone like fact checked this, by the way? Tavistock. I don't know this example. Like do I look like I am terminally online? Smooth brain. Tavistock. What's the actual name of the company? Tavistock Clinic. Wait. Tavistock is a town. What, like, are we talking about like one hospital? Like one clinic? Didn't even mention the name of it. So it's, someone's gonna have to fact check this. I think they put them out of business. All right, I'll show this one. This one's funny. Oh shit. Well, cool. Wait, actually, I don't know if I can show this on screen. Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know that I can show this one. Might be a little too spicy. I'm using Vivaldi. And I did. It like restored everything. Still annoying. All right. Anyway, let's keep going. We're into this now, so let's just keep going. Where were we? To be sure, both of these controversies has resulted in at least partial victory for anti-woke forces. Sturgeon resigned and the Tavistock Clinic was closed. But the forces at work have a momentum that far exceeds the views of individual politicians and the dynamics of particular institutions. If anything, individuals and institutions are constantly attempting to accommodate themselves to strictures coming from elsewhere rather than imposing them top down. It is therefore certain that similar scandals will continue to multiply. What are we talking about? This is like basically a gender clinic made money doing gender affirming medicine it was created for. Yeah, like that's like, what else do we expect? Like this is proof of the conspiracy. This clinic that was created to do this work did this work. It's woke capitalism for a clinic that like to make money doing a thing that it was created to do. What? As if interest group agitation and the compulsions of capital weren't enough, wokeness can also draw upon reserves of religious strength. In our official ideological space, of course, wokeness and religious fundamentalism appear as incompatible opposites, but are they really? Oh god. Cancel medicine now. Oh, the Tavistock Clinic didn't permanently close. It's changing into a multi-city location because demand was so high. Oh, that's funny if true. Nearly a decade ago, the ex-Muslim activist Mariam Namazi was invited by London's Goldsmiths College to lecture on the topic Apostasy, Blasphemy, and Free Expression in the Age of ISIS. Her talk, which focused on Islamic oppression of women, was repeatedly and rudely disrupted by Muslim students. Did Namazi find allies among the college's feminist society? No, the feminists sided with the Goldsmiths Islamic Society. This unexpected solidarity is ultimately grounded in the similarity in form of the two discourses. Wokeness operates as a secularized religious dogma, all the contradictions this implies. John McWhorter, a black critic of racial wokeness, has enumerated some of them in his recent book, Woke Racism. You must strive eternally to understand the experiences of black people. You can never understand what it is to be black, and if you think you do, you're racist. Show interest in multiculturalism. Do not culture, like, I swear to God, the problem is that I haven't actually, like, I haven't seen a lot of the examples that we're talking about, so I can't even really, like, I can't tear into them that much because it's like, I can't confirm. I have to assume based on what I know so far, like, we've already got, like, fucking, like, misgendering someone for the purposes of this. Like, I have to assume that the recounting of events here is probably, like, unreliable. Headline is misleading. Read the literal second sentence. Okay. So let's do that. Why is it NHS to close Tavistock Child Gender Identity Clinic? Literal second sentence. All right, let's go. The NHS is to close the UK's only dedicated gender identity clinic for children and young people. Tavistock and Portman NHS Foundation Trust has been told to shut the clinic by spring after it was criticized in an independent review. Instead, new regional centers will be set up to ensure the holistic needs of patients are fully met, the NHS said. So it's literally, they didn't close it. They just were like, we're closing this one. We're opening a bunch of other ones. Of course, the headline is misleading. It's an article from the BBC about good thing for trans people. True. One clinic isn't enough. We need more. We need more. Why are we in the bad timeline? This is no exaggeration. Anyone who doubts the movement's repressive potential would be well advised to read A Black Professor Trapped in Anti-Racist Hell, Vincent Lloyd's account in Compact of his encounter with wokeness at its worst. At least we aren't in the worst timeline. We have Dark Brandon as president. That's fair. We're getting there, though. Lloyd's credentials are impeccable. A Black professor and director at the Center for Political Theology at Villanova University. He is the former director of his university's Black Studies program, leads anti-racism and transformative justice workshops, and published his book on anti-Black racism and prison abolition, including the classic text, Black Dignity, The Struggle Against Domination. What are the, odds? What is the over-under on this being entirely misrepresented? That, all of this being, fine? Being, a good article or something? And this article is intentionally misrepresenting it to make it seem like it's saying something it's not. I'm not gonna read the article or anything because I actually don't care that much. But I really I'm starting to get the feeling that that's what this is. That this person wrote an article where it was hey, this person wrote an article that was basically just the article version of the puritanical progressivist list, and then it's Slavoj Zizek comes in and says, yes, this is why the trans people are bad. In the summer of 2022, Lloyd was asked by the Telluride Association to lead a 6-week seminar on race and the limits of law in America, attended by 12 carefully selected 17-year-olds. 4 weeks later, 2 of the students had been voted out by their fellows, and Lloyd himself was soon ostracized and booted. In his last class, each student read from a prepared statement about how the seminar perpetuated anti-Black violence in its content and form, how the Black students had been harmed, how I was guilty of countless microaggressions, including through my body language, and how students didn't feel safe because I didn't immediately correct views that failed to treat anti-Blackness as the cause of all the world's ills. Woke survivor, true. The wokeists have gone too far. Lloyd compares these trends to that moment in the 1970s when leftist organizations imploded, the need to match and raise the militancy of one's comrades, leading to a toxic culture filled with dogmatism and disillusion. I'm starting to actually think that's what this is, by the way. I'm starting to actually think that this person was legitimately talking about what we would call the puritanical progressivist, and this article is intentionally misrepresenting that so it can be bigoted against trans people. Yes, there are leftists that suck pee-pee. But more crucial than content was the conflict of forms between seminar and workshop. Lloyd tried to practice the seminar and exchange of opinions. One intervention builds on another, as one student notices what another student overlooked, and as the professor guides the discussion towards the most important question. Seminars usually focus on a particular text, and the participants try to uncover its meaning patiently. By contrast, in the sort of anti-racist workshop that Lloyd critiques, the dogma is clearly established, and the exchange focuses on how and where somebody knowingly or unknowingly violated it. As this person, whose name I'm not willing to try to butcher, has noted, the universe of PC workshops is the universe of Bertolt Brecht's, who's that, Fossiger? I don't know. I'm not, I barely speak English properly. Everybody says yes again and again, and the main argument against those who are not accepted as sincere partisans is harm. Here is how harm works according to Lloyd. Oh no, I think I'm being proven right in real time. During our discussion of incarceration, an Asian American student cited federal inmate demographics. About 60% of those incarcerated are white. The Black students said they were harmed. They had learned in one of their workshops that objective facts are a tool of white supremacy. Outside of the seminar, I was told the Black students had to devote a great deal of time to making right the harm that was inflicted on them by hearing prison statistics that were not about Blacks. A few days later, the Asian American student was expelled from the program. Okay, I'm willing to actually put money that this person was doing unironic 1350 shit and arguing that white people are actually the ones most oppressed. It's either that or this was made up. Yeah, that shit didn't happen. Yeah. Because I've been to college. I've seen incidents like this where a student who is racist will bring up these statistics, and it's always they will say, oh, 60% of those incarcerated are white. So white people are actually the ones being discriminated by the police and the justice system. And then a Black student will say, well, actually, if you look at the actual statistics, sure, 60% of those incarcerated are white, but that's mostly because, there are more white people than there are Black people in the country. You have to look at the statistics per capita, within the context of the demographics. And that actually shows an actual real discrimination between Black people by the police. And then this person will say, oh, they're saying that facts are a tool of white supremacy. No, like you were just misrepresenting the statistics. My sources that I made it the fuck up. Yeah. Dr. Hilary Cass was commissioned to look into Tavistock. Her report advocated for a massive expansion of trans healthcare. She's just quoted by TERFs because the one Tavistock clinic was closed. That checks out. So I guess we can add Slavoj Zizek to Team TERF. Oh god. All right. Two things should surprise us here. First, this new cult combines belief in fixed, objectivized dogmas with full trust in how one feels, although only the oppressed blacks have the right to refer to their feelings as the measure of the racist guilt. A critical confrontation of arguments plays no role, which implies that open debate is a racist white supremacist notion. Objective facts are a tool of white supremacy. Yes, so that, as Trumpists used to say, we need to generate alternative facts. Oh my god. Like what? We're just going into like enlightened centrist territory now. This doesn't read like other stuff he's written, so maybe he's really brain dead on this issue. That could be. I don't know if this is like ghost written or anything, but I want to take it like on its word. Nobody said that about objective facts. Yeah, like I want to take this on its word, so I'm just going to like assume that this is not ghost written. But like, yeah, I think he's got to be like just like really bad on this. We got a new link from Paco. NHS urged to drastically expand trans youth healthcare by independent review. An interim report from the CAS review commissioned by NHS England has boldly suggested that having more than one service for trans kids in the entire country could be a good idea. NHS England commissioned Dr. Hilary Cass, OBE, a former president of the Royal College of Pediatrics and Child Health, to conduct a review of healthcare for trans youth in the UK in 2020. On Thursday, March 10th, CAS released an interim report calling for regional centers to care for trans and gender diverse youth across the UK as soon as feasibly possible. So, yeah, so legitimately, and this is from last year, so legitimately, it's just like they closed the one clinic, and so like TERFs are quoting this person, even though like she literally said the exact opposite thing. I got $5 on AI. Maybe an AI did write it. Maybe this was AI generated. To be clear, there is a kernel of truth in this. Those who are brutally oppressed can't afford the deep reflection and well-elaborated debate needed to bring out the falsity of liberal humanist ideology. But in this case, as in most other cases, those who appropriate the role of the leaders of the revolt are precisely not the brutalized victim of the racist oppression. The woke are a relatively privileged minority of a minority allowed to participate in a top-quality workshop of elite university. Yes, the all-powerful elite woke. Holy shit. This is actually like I'm sorry for not trusting you, chat. Second, the mystery resides in the functioning of the big other, the Tellarite administrative authority in this case. The view gradually imposed on all by the awoken black elite. The awoken black elite? Awoken black, oh my god. That might actually be the funniest thing I've read today. Was the view of a minority, initially even among the black parts, but how and why did these few not only succeed in terrorizing the majority, terrorize? What is this language? Yeah, awoken, but even compelling the Tellarite Association to take their side and decline to defend Lloyd? Why didn't they at least assume a more nuanced position? How does wokeness, although a minority view, manage to neutralize the larger liberal and leftist space, instilling it in a profound fear about openly opposing the woke? Okay, I'm just gonna say the word nuance is like a dog whistle now whenever we're talking, like whenever like this kind of stuff is being said, like this is just a dog whistle. Oh my god. Psychoanalysis has a clear answer to this paradox, the notion of superego. Superego is a cruel and insatiable agency that bombards me with impossible demands and mocks my failed attempts to meet them. It is the agency in the eyes of which I am all the more guilty, the more I try to suppress my sinful strivings. The old cynical Stalinist motto about the accused at the show trials who profess their innocence. The more they are innocent, the more they deserve to be shot is the superego at its purest. Okay. I'm not like, I haven't taken a lot of like philosophy or psychology yet. I can't really speak to that. Like Poppy would be a much better person to ask about this, but I'm going to assume it's probably bullshit. Just because the rest of this has been bullshit. Just for now. Psychoanalysis is largely debunked pseudoscience. Okay. And did McWhorter in the quoted passage not reproduce the exact structure of the superego paradox? You must strive eternally to understand the experiences of black people. You can never understand what it is to be black, and if you think you do, you're racist. In short, you must, but you can't, because you shouldn't. The greatest sin is to do what you should strive for. This convoluted structure of an injunction, which is fulfilled when we fail to meet it, accounts for the paradox of superego. The thing is, even looking at this quote, like, again, this is why it leads me to think that this is intentionally misinterpreting something that is probably fine. You must strive eternally to understand the experiences of Black people. You can never understand what it is to be Black, and if you think you do, you're a racist. What this is getting at is that, like, there is like truth that you should try to understand the experiences of Black people as best as you can, but it is also true that you can't truly like put yourself in someone else's shoes. It's impossible. Like, it is impossible for me to completely understand the experiences of Black people in like totality. I don't have that ability. It would be racist of me to think that I have like the ability to understand Black experiences in its entirety. The point is that you should try to. That's not to say that like, you should listen to Black voices in like the sense that like you should always like take them for like face value or anything like that, or that like they're always correct. The point is that like you should try your best. There's nothing contradicting here. Looking at the Vincent Lloyd article right now, I guess it's impossible. I guess it's possible Lloyd's story actually did happen. But even if there are bad leftists and those events happen, that doesn't mean all progressivism is invalid now. Yeah, like that's the thing. Even if it did happen, it wouldn't matter. Like, it doesn't change anything. Yeah, at some point you have to choose whether to listen to Al Sharpton or Candace Owens. Yeah, I literally made that joke already. And I got called racist for it. As Freud noted, the more we obey the superego commandment, the guiltier we feel. Paradox also holds the Lacanian reading of the superego as an injunction to enjoy. Enjoyment is an impossible real. We can't ever fully attain it, and this failure makes us feel guilty. Again, I don't have enough knowledge in psychology, sociology to really like touch on this too much, but like, no. I'm just gonna say, like, unironically drawing from Freud was a fucking joke. Yeah. A series of situations that characterize today's society exemplify perfectly this type of superego pressure, like the endless PC self-examination. Was my glance at the flight attendant too intrusive and sexually offensive? Did I use any words with a possible sexist undertone while addressing her? And so on and so on. The pleasure, thrill even, provided by such self-probing is evident. Wait, what? Okay, yeah, self-report. Maybe this is just me. But I think it is good, actually, to examine your behavior and ensure that you're not being offensive. The leftist evil of self-reflection. True. I hate that I can't tell if Slavoj Žižek or Jordan Peterson wrote this. Like, I actually if somebody like edited this and like erased Slavoj Žižek's name and like put Jordan Peterson here, I actually wouldn't be able to tell if it was edited. And does the same not hold even for the pathological fear some Western liberal leftists have of being counted guilty of Islamophobia? Oh God, we gotta get into fucking 2016 Islamophobia discourse, I guess? Okay. In this telling, any critique of Islam can only be an expression of Western Islamophobia. Salman Rushdie is denounced for unnecessarily provoking Muslims and thus partially at least inviting the fatwa to condemning him to death. The result is predictable. The more the Western liberal leftists probe their guilt, the more they are accused by Muslim fundamentalists of being hypocrites who try to conceal their hatred of Islam. This constellation, again, perfectly reproduces the paradox of the superego. The more you obey what the other demands of you, the guiltier you are. It is as if the more you tolerate Islam, the stronger its pressure on you will be. Okay. Let's talk Islamophobia. Okay. It is true. Sometimes people will interpret criticism of Islam like as a religious like ideology as Islamophobia. That does happen. However, it is also true that a lot of criticism of Islam is not based in actual critique of the religious like ideology itself and is based in racism. Okay? I believe Zizek wrote this purely on the basis that he wouldn't use the word youngsters but little bastards instead. True. The thing is, there is like, it is true that like there are people who will say that like any critique of Islam like as a religious ideology is Islamophobia. But it is also true that a lot of a lot of criticism of Islam is rooted in racism. When we're talking about Islamophobia, a lot of times it is like crossing over into racist territory. People aren't opposed to Islam in a lot of cases because of the actual like religious like dogma. They're opposed to it because they hate brown people. I mean, the thing is like Islam is kind of like a religiously like an offshoot of Christianity and of Judaism. Like those three like share a lot of ideological like history. So a lot of people who that I would like call, yeah, they're all Abrahamic faiths. A lot of people who I would like call Islamophobic are Christians or like some like, of some like flavor, right? And the the thing is, if you actually like get them down to like their beliefs, they don't actually disagree with Islam all that much in terms of like the actual like religious prescriptions. So then there has to be some other reason that they're like against Islam, right? And when you probe them about this stuff, it usually ends up turning into racist talking points and dog whistles. Islam is a spinoff, Christianity is a sequel. Yeah, well, tomato, tomato. Like as somebody who doesn't have any like I lost my faith years ago. I am an atheist. Not to mention political Islam and political Christianity. Yeah. Like there's also like a difference there too between the like political prescriptions that come from members of those like religious groups and the actual like religious prescriptions. All three religions have pretty nice hats. But yeah, why why are we like dipping back into like 2016 like edgy atheist discourse? I'm getting flashbacks. This superego structure then explains how and why in the Telluride case, the majority and the institutional big other were both terrorized by the woke minority. Both terrorized by the woke minority. Because time is a flat circle, true. The good faith criticism would be criticizing the conservatism of religion. Oftentimes it's just racism. Yeah, that's true. I'm generally opposed to theocracy regardless of form. That said, most adherents to a belief don't want a theocracy. Yeah, that's the case. Like I used to consider myself like an anti-theist and I don't anymore because like what I realized is that like I'm just anti-theocracy. Most people who are religious aren't like theocrats. That doesn't mean that a lot of them don't like simp for policies that would lead to like theocracy, but like most of them aren't like outwardly like theocratic. I'm 100% opposed to theocracies of any kind. Yeah, like the majority of people are. Be way better if you did the edgy atheist discourse against the literal Christofascists that this article is going to be used by. Yeah, unironically though, hot take: all religions are yucky. I don't know that I agree with that. Theocracy is pretty cringe. True. I don't think that all religions are yucky. Like I just don't believe in them. I think that like the thing about religion is that like it can be used for like good things and bad things. Like psychologically speaking, like a lot of people get really good things out of religion. It is actually like sometimes bad to advocate against like religious belief if that's providing like comfort. The issue is like when those beliefs lead to like real world harm. So yeah, I don't think that like all religions are bad. I think that like religion has the potential to be good or bad, and it really just depends on how people interact with it. Faith-based communities can do a lot of good. Yeah. Like I'm not like a Christian at all. My grandfather was a like Baptist preacher. Like that man did more good for the world than probably anyone here, especially addressing food insecurity. Yeah, there's a lot of ways that like religions can like help people. That doesn't mean that I don't have like opinions on like certain like religious beliefs. Like obviously like I don't believe in in any of them, but like there's a lot of like good ways that people interact within religious communities that just are good. Faith can do good things for people. Forcing your faith and beliefs on others is what I'm opposed to. Yeah, that's how I am. Frankly, I'm biased because of trauma. That's fair. Yeah, at least you acknowledge it. A lot of people who grew up in like religious institutions are traumatized. I grew up in like an ultra conservative like Christian homeschool co-op that like unironically there was like a lot of actual shunning, even though that's like it wasn't like called that. That's what actually that was like the thing that happened. Like that honestly was like a traumatizing experience as far as like the ways that people like interact with you, because there was a lot of like social and kind of like psychological abuse in that sphere. My mom and I were talking today about how the Christian idea of forgiveness can be weaponized. That is true. It can be. Another stun lock. Let's finish this because I do have to eventually stop streaming. Let's finish this. The superego structure then explains how and why in the Telluride case, the majority and the institutional big other were both terrorized by the woke minority. All of them were exposed to a superego pressure that is far from an authentic call to justice. The black woke elite is fully aware it won't achieve its declared goal of diminishing black oppression, and it doesn't even want that. What they really want is what they are achieving, a position of moral authority from which they may terrorize all others without effectively changing social relations of domination. if this was put in the context of like the puritanical progressivist thing, like it would actually like be a little bit salient, but it just comes off like when I hear black woke elite, I want to die inside. Like you can make this argument, the argument that is trying to be made here can be made. It's just you're making it against the wrong people. The criticism seems too broad. Yeah, it's like we're just talking about what progressivism. The situation of those terrorized by the woke elite is more complex. Still clear, they submit to woke demands because most of them really are guilty of participating in social domination, but submitting to woke demands offers them an easy way out. Gladly assume your guilt insofar as this enables you to go on living the way you did. It's the old Protestant logic. Do whatever you want, just feel guilty for it. What the fuck are we talking about? Yeah, ban white people from using the word woke. Jesus. Any politician that runs on that is getting my vote. Actually, wait, no. There are some Republicans that would probably run on that. Wokeness effectively stands for its exact opposite. In his interpretation of dreams, Freud reports on a dream dreamt by a father who falls asleep while keeping vigil at his son's coffin. I'm going to be real with you. My eyes are about to glaze over anytime he mentions fucking Freud. Like Freud mentioned, opinion discarded. In this dream, his dead son appears to him, pronouncing the terrible appeal, "Father, can't you see that I am burning?" When the father awakens, he discovers that the cloth on the son's coffin has caught fire from a falling candle. So why did the father awaken? Was it because the smell of the smoke got too strong, so that it was no longer possible to prolong the sleep by way of including it into the improvised dream? Lacan proposes a much more interesting reading. Freud, good. I don't know. I don't really have strong opinions. I just like being inflammatory. If the function of the dream is to prolong sleep, if the dream, after all, may come so near to the reality that causes it, can we not say that it might correspond to this reality without emerging from sleep? After all, there is such a thing as somnambulistic activity. The question that arises, and which indeed all Freud's previous indications allow us here to produce, is what is it that awakens the sleeper? Is it not in the dream another reality? The reality that Freud describes, thus das kind. I'm not gonna try to pronounce that. I'm sorry. That the child is near his bed, takes him by the arm, and whispers to him reproachfully, "Father, can't you see that I am burning? Father, can't you see that I am burning?" It's so out of nowhere that he's being used in the article. It's a very clear attempt on Zizek's part at sounding intelligent. Yeah, he wasn't even a psychologist; he was a neurologist. That really is it. It's like whenever I see like someone use Freud, it's like immediately my brain turns off because it's like you're just like using Freud to sound intelligent. Is there not more reality in this message than in the noise by which the father also identifies the strange reality of what is happening in the room next door? Is not the missed reality that caused the death of the child expressed in these words? So it wasn't the intrusion of the signal from external reality that awakened the unfortunate father, but the unbearably traumatic character of what he encountered in the dream. Insofar as dreaming means fantasizing in order to avoid confronting the real, the father literally awakened so that he could go on dreaming. The scenario was the following one. When his sleep was disturbed by the smoke, the father quickly constructed a dream which incorporated the disturbing element, smoke fire, in order to prolong his sleep. However, what he confronted in the dream was a trauma of his responsibility for the son's death, much stronger than reality, so he awakened into a reality in order to avoid the real. And it is exactly the same with much of the ongoing woke movement. The woke awaken us to racism and sexism, precisely to enable us to go on sleeping. They show us certain realities so that we can go on ignoring the true roots and depth of our racial and sexual traumas. The true depth being that we allow trans people to exist.